Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me today to go over how to use graphic organizers to improve academic skills. You can find the full article at this link, educationandbehavior.com/how to use graphic organizers to improve reading comprehension, writing, listening, note-taking, and study skills. Yep, we're going to talk about how to improve all of that with graphic organizers today. So a graphic organizer provides learners with a visual representation of information, concepts, or ideas. Graphic organizers are often used to help children understand what they are reading. They can also be used to organize information in order to report it, such as through writing or an oral presentation like a speech. Graphic organizers can also be used to take notes while listening to a lecture. In this presentation, I will demonstrate 6 types of graphic organizers with specific examples for how to use each one to facilitate reading comprehension, reporting information, written or spoken, listening, and note-taking. Blank versions of these 6 graphic organizers can be found at educationandbehavior.com/where to get free academic materials. So the first graphic organizer I'm going to talk to you about is called the web graphic organizer. And a web is used to list ideas, facts, characteristics, and or traits related to a single topic. So here's an example using common characteristics or facts about dogs on the right side. If you look at the web, you'll see in the middle we have the topic, which is dogs, and then 6 characteristics or 6 facts about dogs going around that circle. So we have that dogs have 4 legs, they like walks, they're an animal, they like getting petted, they need exercise, and they're furry. Once the web graphic organizer is filled in, students can report information either through writing or speaking using the notes from the web. To illustrate, here is a writing sample using the completed web graphic organizer about dogs. Dogs are furry animals with 4 legs. Dogs need exercise and like to go for walks. They also like getting petted. So here are 3 ways to gather information for a web graphic organizer. And the first way, a classroom teacher or a parent can draw a web on a board or on a piece of paper, or maybe they already had one that they printed off from the computer or made on Microsoft Word. And then they can fill in that web based on information that they recently presented. So let's say the teacher recently read something aloud or gave a lecture or showed a video to her students. She can put that web in front of the students and fill in the different parts to show them how to fill it in. And the teacher or parent can also ask the student questions about what they learned and use their answers to fill in the web as well. So a second way that the web graphic organizer can be used is that students can take notes by filling in the web as they read, listen, or watch a video about a topic. As soon as they know what the topic is, they can fill in that middle circle. And as they continue to read, listen, or watch a video, they can fill in the outer circles as they come across a characteristic, trait, fact, idea, etc. related to the topic. For example, a student is listening to his teacher talk about dogs and needs to take notes. So for his labels, for his inner label, he puts dogs, and then as she mentions different characteristics about dogs, he fills in the outer circles. A third way for students to use the web graphic organizer would simply be to just use their own knowledge to fill in the circles, even if they didn't read anything specific or recently learn anything. For example, a student can take what they already know about dogs, fill out a web, and then write a paragraph based on that web to show their knowledge about dogs. So a second kind of graphic organizer is a Venn diagram, and a Venn diagram is used to compare information. In the example on the next slide, whales and guppies are compared to each other. Whale characteristics are listed on the left and guppy characteristics on the right. In the middle, you will see the shared characteristics. So here's the Venn diagram. You can see on the left we have whales live in water, they're mammals, they're very large, they swim, and they have tails. And on the right, guppies live in water, they are fish, not mammals, they're very small, they swim, they have tails. So if we want to find the shared characteristics between whales and guppies, we look in the middle, they live in water, they swim, and they have tails. Once the Venn diagram is filled in, students can report information through writing or speaking using the notes from the diagram. Here's an example of a paragraph using the Venn diagram about whales and guppies. Whales and guppies have differences but also share characteristics. Whales and guppies both live in water, swim, and have tails. Two differences between whales and guppies are that whales are mammals while guppies are fish, and whales are very large while guppies are very small. Here are 3 ways to gather information for a Venn diagram. In the first way, a classroom teacher or parent can draw a Venn diagram on a board or piece of paper and fill it in based on information they recently presented, like through a read aloud, a lecture, or a video. The teacher or parent can also ask students questions about what they learned and use their answers to fill in the Venn diagram. The second way students can use a Venn diagram is by filling it in as they read, listen, or watch a video in which information is presented about 2 different topics. So first they should label each circle on the right and the left, like we did in the previous example, whales and guppies, and then they should label the middle space, shared characteristics. Next, they should enter information as they come across it. So after reading, listening, or watching a video, they can look at the information that they have written down in the right and left circles and then write the similarities in the middle space. So they're gathering the information as they go and then determining the shared characteristics or the different characteristics later on. Sometimes the information for the Venn diagram can come from 2 different sources. For example, a student can read Romeo and Juliet and fill in main plot points from the play in the left circle, and then watch West Side Story and fill in the main plot points from the movie on the right, in the right circle. Then the student would list similar plot points in the middle space. A third way to use a Venn diagram is that students can fill it in based on their own knowledge of any 2 topics they want to compare, even if they've not recently been taught about the topic or read about the topic. For example, a student could compare baseball to football simply based on her own knowledge, or people to dogs, etc. A third type of graphic organizer that I'm going to talk to you about today is a Hamburger graphic organizer, which can be used to collect important points from a story, fiction or nonfiction, a lecture, a play, a movie, etc. And it allows you to lay it out in sequential or chronological order. Once the information is collected, it can serve as an outline for a paragraph, an essay, or a speech. The Hamburger is very helpful for writing or speech preparation because it allows students to clearly see the main points in an organized fashion, helping them visualize the order of their upcoming written work or speech. This is especially useful for students who have trouble organizing information and planning the order of how they will present the information. Similar to what we talked about before with the other graphic organizers, when using a Hamburger graphic organizer, teachers, parents can fill in the information from a story, or lecture, etc. as the students watch. Teachers or parents can ask students questions about the story, lecture, etc. and fill in their answers in the boxes, providing them with assistance when needed. Students can fill in the information themselves as they listen to, watch, or read information. Students can fill in the information based on their knowledge of a story, lecture, etc. that they have heard in the past. And students can use the information plugged into the Hamburger to generate sentences for a paragraph, essay, or upcoming speech. Next, I'm going to present you with a short story and fill in the Hamburger graphic organizer with main points from the story. Then I'll show you how to use the outline from the Hamburger to write a paragraph about the short story in my own words. So here's the story. Michael's birthday party was on Saturday. He got so many presents he didn't know what to do. His toy chest, closet, and drawers were already filled up, and he didn't know where to put his new toys and clothes. His new stuff was all over his room, and his mother kept coming in and telling him to find a place to put it. Michael was so frustrated that he decided to take a break and look through his old baseball cards in the garage. While he was out there, he saw some of his toys from when he was in preschool. That was when he got his big idea. Michael asked his mom if he could donate his old toys to other children who did not have a lot of toys. She said yes. Now he would have room for all of his new toys and clothes. So here's a picture of the Hamburger graphic organizer with the different parts of the story plugged in. And we can see the beginning starts at the top all the way to the end at the bottom. So in the beginning, Michael had a birthday party Saturday. He got so many presents. In the middle, he had no room for all his new toys and clothes. His mom kept telling him to find somewhere to put his new things, but he didn't know where to put them. Also in the middle, Michael got frustrated and needed a break. He went to the garage to look at his old baseball cards. And the third part of the middle of the story was that Michael saw his old toys from preschool in the garage. He asked his mom if he could donate the toys to other kids. And then at the end of the story, his mom said he could donate his toys, and now he had room for his new things. So if you look at the middle, it's broken up into 3 different sections. So even that middle piece kind of has a beginning, middle, and end. And if you pull out a couple of points from each part, then you'll know what to put in the beginning of the middle section, and the end of the middle. And now here is my own paragraph about the story using the points from the graphic organizer. A boy named Michael had a birthday party on Saturday and got a lot of presents. Michael didn't know what to do because he had no room for all of his new toys and clothes, but his mom kept telling him to find somewhere to put them. Michael got frustrated and needed a break. He went into the garage to look at his old baseball cards. Michael saw his old toys from preschool when he was in the garage. He asked his mom if he could donate the toys to other children, and she said he could. Now Michael had space for his new toys and clothes. While this example illustrates writing a paragraph, an essay can also be written from a hamburger as well. For example, if a student collected several points from, let's say, a book, a lecture, or a movie, and in each section of the hamburger, they put those points. So let's say they had 4 or 5 points in each section, then each section can be like an outline for a paragraph. And then at the end, you would have 5 paragraphs from the beginning, the 3 middle sections, and the end for an essay. Sometimes the whole essay itself could be written right in the graphic organizer or typed into the Hamburger graphic organizer. So you could have your intro in the top, and then your 3 body paragraphs in the 3 middle sections, and then your conclusion at the end. And then once you do that, that can be like your draft, and that can be transferred on to a regular piece of paper or typed. You can draw a Hamburger graphic organizer yourself or make one on the computer, and you can put as many boxes in it as you want. For example, if you wanted your student to write a 7-paragraph essay, you could draw the top and bottom bun of the hamburger and 5 large middle spaces. A 4th type of graphic organizer is a story mountain map. A story mountain map works very similarly to a Hamburger graphic organizer, and information for the story mountain map can be collected in a similar way that we collect information for the hamburger. The difference, though, is that story mountain maps are mostly used to highlight specific points of a fictional story or movie, because fictional stories often build up to a main problem or conflict and then drop back down as the solution unfolds. Story mountain maps are often used to show this rise and fall, with the climax of the story being at the top of the mountain. So here's a story mountain map with the information from the story about Michael's birthday party. And it can be helpful to have questions in the map for the students to answer. So if you look at number 1 in the map, which is on the bottom left, it says, where is the main character, the setting, and what is he or she doing? So the main character, Michael, is at his house. That's the setting. What he's doing is trying to figure out where to put his birthday presents away, his toys and clothes. And then if you go to number 2, as you go up the mountain, what does the main character want? Michael wants to find a place to put his stuff. Number 3, what are the struggles and the roadblocks? Michael has no room for his new things. And you can see each answer in the box on the right next to the question box on the left. Number 4 at the top of the mountain is the main struggle in the story. What happens to make things worse? Michael's mom is pressuring him to put his new stuff away. As we go down the mountain, what choices does the main character make? This is question number 5. You see on the right side of the mountain. The choices that he makes is that he goes into the garage to look at baseball cards, and he sees his old toys and decides that he wants to donate to charity. So first he makes the choice to look at his baseball cards, then he makes the choice that he wants to ask his mom about donating to charity. And then number 6 at the bottom, how does the story end? Michael's mom says he can donate his old toys to charity, and now Michael has a space for his new toys and clothes. Story mountain maps can also be used to highlight the important information from a true story, as long as the story follows the pattern of building up to a main problem or conflict and then dropping back down as the solution unfolds. Just like the Hamburger, points from the story can be put in each box of the Story Mountain map to facilitate reading or listening comprehension, note-taking, or creating an outline for written work or an upcoming speech. Additionally, filling in the Story Mountain map with the points of a story in sequential order helps facilitate an overall understanding of the main idea. The fifth type of graphic organizer is the timeline wheel. It's similar to a Hamburger and a Story Mountain map in that it allows students to list information in sequential order. Timeline wheels are an excellent choice to show what happens first, next, and last in a fictional or true story, to show the dates or times events occurred in chronological order, like let's say, for example, the timeline of World War II, or to show the stages of development, such as how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. So here's an example of the timeline wheel to display events in chronological order. And in this example, a child outlines important milestones in her baby brother's life. So if you look at the top of the timeline wheel on the right side, that first triangle on the right side is a number 1. So we can see here when her baby brother was born, January 2007. Number 2, August 2007, her baby brother was 7 months old and started crawling. Number 3, January 2008, he was 1 year old and started walking. Number 4, May 2008, 16 months old, said first word. January 2009, 2 years old, said first complete sentence. Number 6, December 2009, 2 years, 11 months old, potty trained. September 2010, 3 years, 9 months old, started preschool. September 2012, 5 years, 9 months old, started kindergarten. And that's the completion of the timeline wheel. Once the timeline wheel is complete, the student can use the plugged-in information as the building blocks for a writing piece or speech. So here's a paragraph from the timeline wheel that we just looked at about the girl's baby brother. I was so excited when my baby brother was born in January 2007. At 7 months old, he started crawling. He was walking by January of the next year when he turned 1. My brother spoke his first word at 16 months old and started talking in full sentences by 2. In December 2009, my brother learned how to use the potty. He was almost 3. He went to preschool that September. In September 2012, my brother started kindergarten. Information for a timeline wheel can come from fiction or nonfiction. It can come from many different sources like books, movies, lectures, real-life experiences, etc. Students can watch a teacher or parent fill in the information in a timeline wheel. They can answer questions to help a teacher or parent fill in the info, or they could fill it in themselves. The wheel we just looked at had 8 spaces for writing, but you can draw or make on Microsoft Word your own timeline wheel with more or fewer spaces. Additionally, all the spaces don't need to be filled in. You can stop at the last point of whatever it is that you're reporting. So if there are only 6 chronological points and your wheel has 8 points, that's okay. Then you would just go up to 6. A 6th type of graphic organizer is the KWL. K stands for know, W stands for want to know, and L stands for learned, as in what I learned. So with this graphic organizer, the student fills in what they already know about a specific topic on the left side. In the middle, they fill in what they want to know, and then on the right side, they fill in what they've learned after they've gathered the information, either from reading, listening, watching, observing, etc., about whatever the topic is. Here is an example based on a student who read a book about lizards and filled in the KWL organizer before and after reading the book. So before reading the book, he filled in on the left what I know, and he put lizards are reptiles, some are green in color, lizards like warm climates, many lizards eat bugs. What I want to know, what are some other colors lizards can be besides green? Are there any lizards that can survive in cold climates? What do lizards eat besides bugs? And then after reading the book, this is what he learned. Lizards come in many different colors besides green, such as yellow, red, orange, pink, blue, white, and black. Some lizards have 2 or more colors on their body. No lizard can survive in the cold for too long. Lizards that are exposed to cold climates, such as lizards in Canada, find someplace warm underground or underwater and hibernate there until the weather gets warmer. And then the third thing he learned was that besides bugs, lizards eat plants and small animals. Now I'm going to talk about two different ways to complete a KWL. In the first way, a teacher or parent can ask the student their answers to the questions in the KWL. So if the topic is cows, the parent can say, what do you know about cows? What do you want to learn about cows? And after the child researches the information, they can ask, what have you learned about cows? As the child answers the questions, the parent or teacher can fill in the boxes while the student watches. Some teachers might do an activity like this with the whole class, taking answers from a few students and plugging them into a chart up on the board in front of the class. A second way to use the KWL is that students can also fill in the chart themselves, reading the questions and plugging the relevant information into each box. The KWL is an excellent tool for gathering information to prepare a writing piece or speech using the What I Know and What I Learned columns. The KWL is also a good note-taking tool, which can be referred to later as a study guide. For example, students can set up the first two columns before a teacher lecture and aim to fill in the last column during the lecture as they learn new information. Some additional information for students who have trouble taking notes or focusing while they're listening or reading, such as maybe students with symptoms of ADHD, or for students who learn best with structure. Sometimes this could apply to students on the autism spectrum. Graphic organizers are a great tool to keep them actively engaged while building note-taking skills. It's not going to work for every student, but for some students, this is a successful strategy. You have to try it out to see what's helpful for your students. Graphic organizers guide the student to listen for specific information and fill it in along the way in a very structured format. For students who have trouble writing in a straight line, you can take a ruler and draw lines in the writing spaces of any graphic organizer. For students who struggle to listen while taking notes, teach them how to write down a few important words from each point rather than whole phrases or sentences. Show them specific examples of how to do this. For example, in the KWL that we just looked at before, a student can write hibernate in cold rather than lizards hibernate when it is cold. After the lesson, the student can fill in the details. Some children might need very specific examples of how to use graphic organizers with a lot of practice before being expected to use them efficiently on their own. Provide your child or students with as much guidance as necessary, slowly fading back support as students become more independent at using the organizers. The ultimate goal is for students to be able to use graphic organizers as independently as possible, asking for help when they need it. Keep in mind that every child is different. Some respond to several strategies, others respond to a few, while others may not respond to any of the strategies you try. If your child is significantly struggling with reading comprehension, writing, listening, note-taking, or acquiring any other academic skills despite consistent practice and guidance, talk to your child's school and/or doctor. They should be able to refer you to the appropriate professionals to determine what might be interfering with your child's progress and what additional strategies might help. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This video was created by Education and Behavior, educationandbehavior.com. Please share with others about the use of graphic organizers to help students. And please like and subscribe for updates, and you can find the full article at the link below.